Hey guys, welcome back to the Mind Body broadcast with Austin and Marty. And today we're going to do something a little more informal. It will be a little more entertainment value today. I had a request for something pretty fun. I think it'll be fun anyhow. They wanted us to talk about just some of the craziest, goofiest, most ridiculous contest prep stories that we have. So things like weird things that we've done food wise or ways that we've, obstacles that we've overcome to adhere to the plan or just crazy stuff that's happened during preps. I mean, anyone that's been through prep or multiple preps and had to really dig deep, that you may do some pretty bizarre things to get the job done, especially when your brain is a little foggy. And oh man, I can think of, yeah. And it's a regular thing. And for Marty and I being, coaching people and getting update emails and whatnot, I mean, we hear all kinds of funny stuff. Like I just had a guy this morning that put his keys in the refrigerator. That's pretty normal thing.
Isn't that funny? Because it is. That is, I've heard that the fridge, like it's so funny that's normal.
That's pretty mild, really. Like that's a pretty regular thing. I'd in fact say, if you haven't put your keys in the fridge by the end of prep, you probably didn't work hard.
I was going to say, have you really done a prep if you haven't put your keys in the fridge or the freezer? Yeah.
That's funny.
Geez, even yesterday, I'm not prepping, and I put my phone down, put my keys down, picked my phone up, and walked out of my building. And where I am in my condo, you need your keys to get to your floor and whatever. And so I just walked out and got in the car with my buddy, and I said, I think I just left my keys. And he was like, are you prepping again? I was like, no. But so, yeah. I'm sure you're aware. Yeah, go ahead.
That's just being super busy. And then that gets even crazier when you're super busy and you're depleted. Oh my
God. Yeah. So, yeah. Like I'll kick it off here. One of the funnier ones, I was talking to Eric Helms, and I even asked him that, like, what's your own craziest prep story? He said, so mine, this is him talking. He goes, so mine was, I would wake up in the middle of the night hungry and go to the fridge, and I'd have the bottle of Walden's Farm pancake syrup. And he goes, and I would just have a shot. I would pour it in a glass, and I would have it like a shot, and then go back to bed. He goes, because I would just need something to think that I'm eating the dying weeks of preps, and I'm just bursting out laughing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure at some point I've made either a no-calorie syrup or something its own food group at one point too. And it's like half of this podcast too is going to be great because it'll make you feel so much more normal after we're done with this, because everyone's done some dumb shit, like you said. And if you haven't, like, there's no such thing as the perfect prep. Like, I've had some people that are so damn diligent at this stuff, and regardless, they are going to have some screw ups. So, and even that, it's like, I would rather someone do something like that and have the shot of the pancake syrup than go so far off of their diet that they're binging for the whole weekend or something like that. And it's one of those meet me in the middle type of things, right? That, like, I'm not going to put on their plan one shot of pancake syrup, but I'm going to say this is okay versus the alternative.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to vary person to person, but I mean, if you're really getting somebody that's really struggling and they have to push really hard, there comes that point where it's just survival mode. You know what I mean? Like, and I've told clients that too. And beyond the point of, as long as it's not directly hurting their progress, there's rules that we may throw out the window just to not mess up on the plan. Yep. So, hey, you can do what you got to do. I know I've drank out of the Walden's bottle.
Yeah.
Countless times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Countless times. I mean, my wife she went through a long fat loss phase, and she was putting the Waldens on her salad, her lettuce.
Oh yeah.
Lettuce and tuna though, which was interesting. I was like, oh, Walden's on tuna. That's good. But I mean, do whatever you got to do. I mean, I'm not going to judge. And even some of that weird stuff, like weird food combinations, you might run into some digestive issues or something, as long as hopefully they're not not doing anything too terrible. And a lot of that stuff we can get rid of the last week of the show anyhow. But, oh yeah, I mean, I've had days, no lie, like I've had days where I've drank my body weight in diet soda. 100%.
Oh God, yes, yep. And just what a rabbit hole that is, right? Like, and so one of the tactics for that is just to not buy it. But then again, like we just said, now is if you don't buy the diet pop, is that going to be throwing you off the plan, right?
Right. Yeah. You're right. Some of those things, one thing kind of leads to another, and we kind of had that discussion before the show as well. Like people doing, like taking drugs and things in bodybuilding just to get through, like people taking, Adderall and prep and ketamine and just crazy shit just to like numb the fact that they feel terrible. And that's, that to me is I'm drawing the line there. For one, I would never recommend that to a client, but secondly, obviously like I'm not going to have them do something that they're potentially going to be addicted to after the prep is over. So it's the same thing with like, you get into really hardcore prescription sleep meds and stuff. I'm like, I get a little hesitant when it comes to that stuff, but yeah, I've turned, as far as like appetite goes, I've turned a lot of people on to using nicotine. That's one.
Yep.
That's an old school trick, and people kind of look at me funny when I talk about it, but I use that one all the time in the right dose. Obviously we're talking about low doses. It works. It works really well. So I know for me, I try to limit myself. I'll basically I got this one company, I'll buy a bulk box of it. And I said, all right, this lasts me the whole prep. Right. I will not purchase any more when I'm done, and kind of mitigate any damage that way. But man,
no, the nicotine gum is something that like, it's weird because it's like you said, when people will kind of look at you sideways saying like, or they'll get not upset, but they'll be like, oh my God, are you recommending this? And it's like I said, the alternative is going to be more damaging. But yeah, I will even say something like, well, gum's a funny one, period, because I had one girl that I didn't coach her, but she was at the gym, and I got the message from her because I don't think either her coach or someone just didn't give her the message back or whatever. And she said, Marty, I'm having anywheres, and it wasn't nicotine gum, actually, it was just gum. She goes, I'm having anywheres from 12 to 24 pieces, so 2 full packs of gum a day. She goes, I know this is not good because even the sugar-free gums are still going to have something like 1 or 2 carbs per piece. And this is stuff that would not typically matter, we'll say, outside of prep. But when you're not dieting, or when you are dieting, now your body's going to try to either steal calories from this. Like you've heard of people swallowing gum because they, think that it's either going to be food or accidentally swallowing or something. But let's say it's that 12 to 24 pieces, just like this girl that I'm referring to did. Like there's an extra 12, 24, 48 grams of carbs. And that obviously adds up, right? And when she got a hold of me, it was to the point now where she was giving herself such stomach pains just from the gum. She wasn't even swallowing it, but it was the increase in salivation. It was because, and how that works is, and you know this, I'm just telling it to the people here, is that like as soon as you start salivating or you get that sweet taste in your mouth, you will produce, I think, like something like 30% more saliva. And like if you start swallowing these digestive juices too much and there's nothing there to digest, this is when you can start running into, I think, like the extreme would be something like a stomach ulcer. But like it's cueing your body for, okay, there's food coming, and then nothing happens. And so then it's like, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but gum back in the day, and I mean this like high school, I would always have gum. Like I think like Dentine Ice or whatever. I just remember it lasting so much longer for flavor. But now it's like during prep, you chew that piece 10, 15, 20 minutes, and that flavor's gone. And now you've just got this wad of whatever's sitting in your mouth. So then what do? You have another piece. Especially when you're really damn hungry, you have another piece. And then before you know it, you're running into these really weird issues. And that's, I've done the same thing as you, man, with the diet pop. Like that's it. As soon as you're done one, you have another one. And then when your water's up there around, or your hydration's up there around that 4 or 5, whatever liters, like what's a can of pop? 250 milliliters? Not even 100. Like how many milliliters in a can of pop?
It's 12 ounces. So whatever that is.
There you go. Yeah. Like, and that can add up or not add up. And before you know it, you're blowing through a 12-pack of can of pop or blowing through a 2-liter a day, and it just can get problematic.
Oh yeah. You mentioned, okay. So the gum thing, talking about how the calories can add up, which they certainly can. I get asked, that's a common one I get asked, hey, can I chew sugar for gum? And I'm said, I'm like, well, have you been chewing it now, previously? If we just all of a sudden introduce 10 pieces of gum a day, well, there's 10 carbs, and for somebody that's small and on low calories, that's going to add up.
Yeah.
So, but if you were already chewing a few pieces and we keep it around the same amount, it's probably not going to be problematic. I just don't want you to go from chewing 2 pieces to 20 pieces.
Yeah.
But funny story in terms of the whole, this was more of a food thing, but a good vegetable story, trying to get that food volume in.
Right.
People do some crazy stuff for food volume. I know I do. I'll give you a couple of the little weird things that I like, but this was relatively recently. Had a refeed, okay, and the carbs, it was a female, so it wasn't anything huge. I think it was like 325 carbs, which was a good, pretty significant increase from the very low carbs that she was on. But it was a macro-based client, you know what I mean? With food, I gave food recommendations in terms of the refeed. I said, hey, it's really based on digestion. We haven't really done the refeed yet, so we just need to kind of see what's going to digest well. She decided that those guidelines weren't necessarily worth following and that she was going to eat 325 grams of carbs from vegetables.
Oh my God.
You can probably guess what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it took about 4 days to finally feel normal again because her GI was just completely destroyed and she was in crippling pain by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And she goes, it didn't really register to me until the end why my stomach hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So that was a very, very poor decision. But you definitely people do some crazy stuff. And as far as like the food volume goes, there's a couple, this is one that I've talked about on podcasts before because it gets tricky because you do have certain hunger hormones and like satiety signals. And if you're putting in such a huge amount of food volume, but calorically it doesn't match, then some funky things can happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? In terms of hunger, because temporarily, yes, your stomach feels full, but you won't get that satiety signal because it's just calorically it's not there. So I try to have people be kind of cautious with this. To an extent, it's okay. I get it. Maybe eat some more veggies and things like that. But when it starts impacting, like throwing you all this weird hunger and messing up your stomach, we gotta fix it. But for me right now, like I'm under 6 weeks. I'm in the 5.5 or so week range. I'm getting to that point. I'm really hungry, so I add some little bit of volume in there. I like to do. Well, I'm a big fan. I like pumpkin.
Oh yeah.
I use that as a carb. So I've been making this. I do well with Greek yogurt. It doesn't bother my stomach at all. So I do. I'll make these taste like pumpkin cheesecake. I'll just basically take canned pumpkin, very thick Greek yogurt, and some stevia and cinnamon, and I'll mix it up really thick, throw it in the freezer, and I get like a giant mixing bowl worth for like 40 carbs.
Yep. And
So,
I love like the cinnamon trick, like using any not to interrupt you here, but like using something like a powerful spice like that. Like cinnamon's my homeboy. Like I like cinnamon in my oatmeal completely changes the oatmeal for me. And in prep, you love that shit. You know what I mean? Because it's so flavorful, right?
Yep, 100%. My other one, that one's not that weird. This one is a little weird. My wife makes fun of me for this one, but
yep.
I don't know what you guys call it, but you know what a fruit parfait is, or like and that's not a yogurt parfait. It's more of like the Jell-O that has fruit in it that you see at the store.
Like almost like a puree?
Yeah. It's like the little Jell-O molds that have the fruit inside. Yeah. Well, I'll do my own parfait. It doesn't have fruit, but I'll basically just take Jello, like the sugar-free Jello, either the cups or you can get the mix that's in a box, and then I'll throw my Greek yogurt into that and just chop it all up into chunks, and it's freaking delicious. And it's like a giant parfait, and it has 20 grams of protein, just the carbs from the Greek yogurt, and no fat.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so that's, I have to be careful. I have to really be careful with that one, because if I really wanted to, the Jello is so low calorie. It's 1 gram of protein per cup from gelatin, so it's it's hardly anything. I could easily throw like 12 of the Jello cups in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could. And don't get me wrong, like, I've done it before. I'm not innocent by any means, but I kind of know where my limit's at on that. But yeah, I really like that one right now. I've been doing that, and then I'll just finish my protein on the side with like a traditional, egg white or chicken or fish or something. And then I get a nice meal. I can literally have meals like 50 grams of protein, 10 carbs, and basically no fat. And it's a super low calorie meal. But I get like a pound of food, Yeah. So that stuff every once in a while I think is okay. But the whole volume thing, people definitely get carried away. I don't know. Have you had any horror stories with people using the really bad ones, like the protein fluff, but they start using all the thickeners like Guar gum and Xanthan gum and things like that.
Yep.
And then that's when shit starts going bad, because now you're putting a soluble fiber in there that pulls fluid in, and you can just destroy your stomach with. If anyone's ever used Xanthan gum or Guar gum, like a quarter teaspoon does a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the protein bars now that have like that what is it, Maltitol, or they have like the man-made fiber too. It's almost like they put like you said, like the Guar gum, like there'll be too much psyllium husk. It's like when people that's like what is it, Metamucil? Like it's almost like they put Metamucil in the protein bar, and like in the science will say, or whatever behind it is, if you have too little dietary fiber in your diet, regardless if it's soluble or insoluble, you're going to screw up your stomach. Or if you have way too much fiber, you're also going to screw up your stomach. And that's just it, is that, and like, you have to watch that fiber content, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to, in terms of, you can't have it be, it's, even though sure, fiber is what, 2.6 calories per gram as opposed to 4, whatever. It's this, and I'll start with this. It's like, you see some old school plans, or I even still see it today, where it will say unlimited vegetables on their plan. And you can't do that, because it's like you said, you were going to run into these issues. Like, what did you say that girl had there, or whatever, extra 300 and something grams of fiber a day, or like she was eating that many grams from carbs, or from vegetables?
Yeah, from vegetables. And dude, I'll argue that unlimited veggies all day. People are like, oh, yeah, if that messes up your plan, then you're doing something wrong. That's bullshit. You've never worked with someone that has to eat 1,000 calories then, clearly.
No, exactly. And like, and even then, like, I'll almost aim for that person, especially if we're talking about now off season, I will aim for them to have less fiber. So, because now they're not bunging up their stomach. It's not sitting there too hard in either digestive tract, because everyone will think that the fiber will potentially pull things quicker through the digestive tract. I haven't seen that. I've either seen moments where now stomach acid is low, the fiber is just sitting there. It's like you want to talk about bloat. For me, like I am what's one of the most classic vegetables that are in people's diet plans, period? Broccoli. I have broccoli, Austin, and I will gas you out of here quicker than friggin' a fire extinguisher will go off. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just get bloated, I'll get gassy, so I got to limit my broccoli. But these people will destroy bags of broccoli and then wonder why in the morning their stomach's puffed out, and it's because there is too much. And I'll argue that all day long too. Like the whole unlimited vegetables or whatever. It's like, okay, have them so that you're not hungry, or like you said, the hunger cues go away. That's not what you want. Like, I even get a little bit crazy to the point where I'll watch the amount of water people will drink with their meals, just because that weakens the stomach acid, as I'm sure you're aware, right? And that will cause issues. Like, I'll try to have people, and this is getting, of course, really, we'll say nutbaggy, or really watching it too much. But like, if you have that, I'll try to get them to drink their water in between their meals, because not only will that help with the hunger cues in a decent way, but it will just, if you are pounding, we'll say a liter or whatever, a quarter gallon or a third of a gallon of water with your meals, you are going to start running into some of those issues too. And it's just not fun. It's like even when you're having your Greek yogurt, pumpkin puree, like that, the dairy stuff doesn't need stomach acid to digest, and you can run into some serious issues if you don't watch that stuff, right? And that's why I'm like, we already did the if it fits your macros, or the we'll call it the macro planning podcast a long time ago, and like that stuff can work, but it's just like anything, you have to watch it. It's like if you have half a cup of oatmeal at your meal, you can't just pour the oatmeal like 2 cups dry and then just go at it and stop when you're done. Like it's just like anything. You have to measure this shit out, or else you will run into, oh man, the amount of times that we've seen that on like we'll call it the horror stories has been what? I want to say almost someone every prep will do something like this. So you're damn right that you got to watch this stuff, right?
Yeah, I see threads like that sometimes, the unlimited veggies thing, and I'll tell you, I have there's two things about it. Is one, calorically, right, is just the fact that it can absolutely impact someone that is on really low calories. Obviously, they're going to be able to easily eat themselves out of a deficit. But secondly, it's just the GI aspect of it. Yep. You tell someone unlimited anything when they're hungry as hell, you're going to have a problem, especially newer competitors that they've maybe not been through it, and they're like, oh, unlimited vegetables, and then they eat, God knows how much of whatever vegetable they like, and yeah, that's bad news. It's definitely bad news, and it's not singling out women, but it tend to have those like weird food volume issues with women more than men, simply because women typically eat less food, you know, so that tends to be where you have the issues the most. And I think women just generally have some like weirder hunger cues and stuff because hormonally they have a little bit more going on.
That's right.
For sure. But what about, I don't know what you had written down, but what about some non-food related stories? I have some scary ones and some funny ones.
Yep. Oh, for sure. So I would say just either flat out getting in the vehicle and then forgetting where they're going. I've had people miss their turns to work that they've driven how many times, and before you know it, they're like, their brain is somewhere. Either it doesn't even necessarily mean that they're thinking about food or whatever. It's just that their lack of planning increases, and just regular routines can be thrown out the window. Like I had one girl that literally missed her, like got back on the highway, missed her turn off to work, just did a loop around, got back on the highway, missed her turn off to work, and she's like, this stuff can happen, and like we said, sadly, it can be a bit normal. So it's almost it's coaching them, saying, hey, listen, this isn't forever. This is relatively normal. Like, yes, you're in trying to make either the habits, and like, so that's the coaching hack, is either making the habits or making things so simple during these last weeks of prep that you can't mess this stuff up, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, we were talking about keys in the refrigerator. That's pretty normal type thing. Yeah, just forgetting, just general forgetfulness, just forgetting. And it's bad when you're forgetting stuff that you've done like a million times, and you already have that muscle memory that because you do it all the time. Yeah, Then you're really depleted at that point. It's funny. I'll give you kind of a funny one.
Yep.
And funny and kind of
tragic,
silly at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was was actually when my wife and I first met. She met me right before I was starting a prep, so she literally went through it right off the rip. Bless her soul. And she survived, so I knew she was the one. But anyhow, she one night I was probably a few weeks out from the show, and I was having issues with I've always had issues with anemia, like iron and B12 deficiency, and it happens more in prep, so I got to be really diligent about taking certain supplementation and stuff. And I obviously wasn't taking enough.
Yeah.
And I stood up, passed out in the bathroom.
Yep.
I woke up in the middle of the night, and I could like faintly yelling, like I couldn't wasn't yelling, but just enough for her to hear me. And I had no idea what the hell I was even asking for at the time. And she comes in and she's like, "What, are you okay? What do you need? What do I do?" She didn't know. And I asked her, I said, "I need pork rinds." and she's like, "What?" I said, "I need pork rinds." And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Is this sane, Austin, or are you still just like start slapping you? Are you awake right now? Or are you just dreaming about pork rinds?
I had no idea what I was talking about. It's hilarious looking back on it, but that's like one of my couple pass out stories. I had another one too that happened, and I stood up. It was actually in the morning. I stood up from going to the bathroom because, hey, if you've ever been that tired in prep, guys, you just sit down on the toilet sometimes just because. So I stood up, passed out, woke up. I had fallen face first and broke my nose all over the damn tile, and there was blood everywhere. Yep. Bam. Face first, out, cold. And it's one of those things, like, obviously that goes to show you that there's definitely some unhealthy aspects and we do some silly things, but looking back on it, like, I'm not hurt. So it's kind of, it is funny. But yeah, a couple good pass out stories. I know I've told my ER visit story before. Sure. I don't know if that one. So, I mean, there's some things like that you do that maybe aren't the most intelligent, that aren't quote unquote good for you, but hopefully you survived and you can learn from them and look back and laugh at them.
Well, one of the guys that I didn't coach him, but he's a pro locally that I knew, and he had the same thing as you. He had like anemia, depending upon his situation or whatever, but also had narcolepsy. So the last 2 weeks of his prep, he either had his wife or his buddy, or I forget what it was, but drive him around to everywhere. Because if he like reached over to get a drink out of the coffee holder in his car and like sat up too fast from that, he could black out, or the narcolepsy would kick in and he would black out driving. So he like, I remember because someone was telling me about, like, I think he was just overhearing me talk to my client about being tired during prep, and he goes, "I have a story for you." And so he's just saying, or like, just, "I have stories for you." He goes, "This is what it takes." And this is, we'll say, the coaching hack, or the thing, the takeaway from this is that you need to start learning this stuff about yourself. Like, as in, just like you said, if you know that you have that anemia, that you got to step up that supplement game, because if you're not going to be getting it through food, you're not going to be having the energy from the food, period. So you've got to make yourself more habitual in that sense, or else you'll wake up like Austin with a broken nose and wonder where your pork rinds are.
God, yeah, I don't know how that happened, but see, there's good lessons in there too about, he did that because he knew that's what he needed to do to adhere to the plan and make it work. And people do all kinds of just crazy, funky stuff to make sure that they don't, like, hey, you might have to put a sticky note in the outside of your refrigerator so you don't put your keys in the fridge. You know what I mean? Like, do what you got to do to remind yourself of things, or, get the plan done. I mean, I hear all kinds of stuff. It's funny because you hear, like, prep's difficult, especially when, things are always harder when you're tired.
Yes.
And then you hear about some of the stuff that people do to get through and make it happen. You're like, okay, I should stop being a wuss and just get it done.
Well, and that's where I think that the coach can come in. It's like, if you're being told, hey, like, as in, someone will say to you, like, or you even ask that, am I being tired right now? Or is this a problem? Is this something that's going to go away during prep? And then, so yeah, you can set yourself up. Geez, I don't even have a time where I'm going through prep, but I'll lose my keys. I get made fun of by friends, girlfriends, whoever, like, keys, phone, and wallet. Like, and I've got like a funny story about that. It wasn't even during prep, but like, I remember putting my keys in my back pocket so that I could remember them. And I never put my keys in my back pocket. So I was a moron and put them in my back pocket. My buddy was like, we went back to my house, and he goes, okay, can you not get into your house? I said, no. So he had to go drop me off at my other buddy's house, which was about 20 or 30 minutes away. And he goes, and then when we get there, he's like, I swear to God, you said, I'm going to put my keys in my back pocket so I don't forget. And I said, I never do that. And so I reach into my back pocket, pull out my keys, and he just looks at me and goes, oh my God. So I have a list now, I think on my phone, I think even a physical list of places where my keys might be. So it's like I have a ceramic dish, I have my nightstand drawer, I have my jacket pocket. So I just have these systems set up so that I make sure I check every single one of these places before I go into panic mode wondering where my keys are.
Oh yeah, do what you got to do. Shit, I mean, it's I don't know. There's nothing. Now I'm afraid to say this because I'll start forgetting everything. But yeah, I definitely go through checklists. I know I got a funny one from my last prep, which two funny things actually. So I was so tired at the end, and of course we work at a desk mostly. Yes. You're just typing and stuff. When we get up to, go to the fridge for meals or whatever. But anyhow, I got so damn tired, and my legs were so just inflamed from cardio and training and all that I I would actually just piss in empty bottles and not get up and just sit them beside. Yeah, I would just sit them beside my chair. And of course, at that point in prep, you're not holding any water because you don't have hardly any glycogen or fat on you. So I'm just peeing all day, and I've got like all these full bottles. And then I started thinking, oh, my NEAT levels are really going down because I'm not getting up and going to the bathroom. So I stopped I stopped doing it because I'm like, damn it, I need to walk. I need to get my lazy ass up. But yeah, you get, it sounds gross, but like if you get tired enough, even just looking down to tie your shoe is like a daunting.
Oh yes.
You got to do the like to get out of the chair. You got to do the old person where you lean all the way over and then brace yourself with your hands on your thighs and push yourself up. And yeah, it definitely gets that way where just any kind of voluntary movement outside of just involuntary breathing is pretty daunting and exhausting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've done the rock to get up, like as in you kind of swing forward, swing back, and then swing up and kind of launch yourself up. It's like you do some really kind of funny stuff like that. It just brought to mind one of the ones, just even a routine thing. So one of my girls that just did her prep here a little while ago, had a habitual routine of taking her kids to the movies. And so she took her kids to the movies, and they would buy popcorn, pop, candy, whatever, just as their regular routine. And so she was about halfway through the movie and halfway done her bag of Skittles and Skittles and popcorn. And she just went, oh shit. Because that was so much a routine for her that she just forgot that she was on prep. It wasn't even thinking about the food, wasn't even thinking about hunger. Just that was such a damn routine for her. And then so I get the message after the movie and be like, you won't believe what happened. And I said, I will believe what happened. Try me. And so, and of course she felt terrible about it. Right. And I said, listen, this is the first screw up you've had in prep. We're whatever weeks out. It's fine. Just now know like that if you do take your kids to the movies again, that, okay, last time, this is what I did. There's or even tell your kids, this is prep, Mom. You're not allowed to have the Skittles again, or so that they pay attention for you, right? But oh man, did I ever? And she was feeling so awful about this, and I'm just losing it laughing getting these texts, right? Because as I'm sure you're aware, we've all been there, or you've all seen it, especially for someone that's in their first prep, is that they won't know for these things to watch for them because they will have been such a part of the routine outside of prep, right? And so just watching out for those things a heck of a lot more. Or also the common thing that you'll see people is now they'll start feeling limited by either something that they used to do that was social and that they can't do anymore. Like as in if you did have drinks with your friends every second Friday or whatever, you name it, is that, that stuff is going to have to slow down, and people will kind of get upset or whatever that they can't go out, and though there is tactics like as in just have a Diet Coke or whatever, or of course the classic is, you know, the friends saying, oh, just have the one beer, or have like, can't you have a hamburger here and there or whatever, you name it, right? But it's like these things, you do have to watch them more in a sense of that, but it's in, like I've said this 100,000 times to my clients, it's not forever. Prep isn't forever. Is that no, you aren't quote unquote allowed to have the drinks or whatever, but this was your choice, right? To do the prep. No one's like, I didn't pay you to do the prep. I didn't approach you to do the prep. You want to do this. So just being more aware of that stuff. But like, if I can give one tip too, is that if and when you do screw up like these things, and when you do pass out and break your nose, just don't get too upset at yourself, because that's going to do, like, the mental stuff, the psychological stuff, that's going to do more damage than you probably, well, outside of you actually cracking your nose. That one's, man, what a great story. But like this girl getting down on herself for eating the Skittles or whatever, that's going to do more damage than the actual Skittles. And like, let's say now you get into, we'll say, screw it mentality or whatever, and now you think, well, the prep is blown because I've done this, which no, of course it hasn't. It's one event, something, whatever. It's whatever, 200-300, whatever it would be, calories from the Skittles, where it's not going to make or break your prep. But the whole, if you start getting into, I think Zig Ziglar coined the term stinking thinking, whereas if now you get into this mental mind frame of I screwed up or I'm a screw up or whatever, that's going to do more damage than the actual Skittles will.
Oh, 100%. It's the I call it, my version's a little more crude, but I call it the fuck it all. You don't want that. Yep. That's a bad one.
Yep.
You mess up. You mentioned go out and have a Diet Coke. I got a great Diet Coke story for you.
Sure. Yep.
And real simple one. I'm sure there's people that can actually relate. So like, how many people and I do this even in the off season, like, oh, even if we're going to the movies or just anywhere and I get a diet soda of some kind, I kind of peer over the counter to make sure they're pouring out of the right fountain.
Oh God, yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I know a lot of people that I'm sure do that. And I wasn't paying attention. And if anyone has drinks diet soda and they drink a regular soda, like, you can tell the regular one's very syrupy from the high fructose corn syrup.
It's thicker.
Like it's thicker, and it's not like, doesn't have as much bite to it. It's not as crisp because it doesn't have, the artificial sweetener or whatever. But anyhow, I got one, and I'm sure you know where this is going. Mm-hmm. I tasted it, and it wasn't. I could tell that it wasn't. I was like, but the thing is, I wasn't thinking about it at first. I took probably, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 really big swigs of it. So, I mean, I probably drank 100 calories worth. And I was like, wait a minute. I got up. I went over to the counter, because it was a fast food restaurant. I was just talking to somebody. I just had met them there for something. And it wasn't one of the ones where you go over to the fountain yourself. Like, some of the places you go over and you pour it yourself. They just give you a cup.
Right.
But
yep.
I went up to the counter and I said, is this Diet Coke? And the girl asks, no. She says, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I think I put the regular Coke in there.
Yeah.
I about fucking lost my mind.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just one of those days where there was literally, like, just a bunch of little shit had piled up, and I'm like, do you even realize what you've done? Like,
you just ruined my entire prep.
And I just went, it was excessive. I almost got kicked out of the Wendy's. And the manager came out and asked me what was wrong, told me I needed to calm down and all this shit. I felt like such a jackass after I was done. But I'm like, but it was one of those things where I'm like, seriously? I felt so bad, because I was like, this is why you get paid $8 an hour, because you can't even effing, pour the right kind of pop out of the fountain. This is ridiculous. It's like the easiest thing in the world to do. What if I was diabetic and, trying to kill me?
Just guilt tripping the employee and the manager. Yeah.
It wasn't necessary, probably, but it was one of those things where it was just, it all piled up that day. And he's like, you're going to have to calm down, or you're going to need to leave. Blah, I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm leaving anyhow. You done messed up my day. I'm going to go outside and run some sprints. And get rid of this,
Oh my
get rid
God,
of this glucose. But yeah, that was probably a little excessive. Like I'm like the last person that takes anything out on people in prep, because again, like it is your choice. And if you are one of those people that just is so grumpy and a jerk all the time, like shame on you. You shouldn't be, because you know, but there has been a couple situations. Like there was a guy that used to pick on me at the gym all the time, and he very, very, very overweight guy, very overweight, came to the gym, literally looked worse every single year. You know what I mean? Like he made excuses for everything, and he gave me the old, you know, a week out. I'm just like laying there on a machine trying to figure out, you know, what day it is. And he goes and he says, "Man, you look so skinny. You need a cheeseburger."
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay. I said, "You need to stop being such a fat piece of shit."
Oh no. Okay.
I lit him up. I got in his face, you know, so quick. I mean, literally, I just jumped up. It was like an instinct. I didn't even think about it, because this dude had pushed my buttons forever. And I think he was pissing down his leg at this point. I had a dumbbell in my hand. Like, I don't know what I was going to do. Was I planning on hitting him with the dumbbell?
Right.
But I ripped him. And of course, I knew the people at the front desk, and they were just laughing. They're like, "Well, you had that coming." And yeah, so you get. I went off on the greeter lady at the supermarket one day, and she every single day she would. I didn't go off on her, but I said, she goes, like, she was so cheerful. It was to the point where it was like, "Are you on drugs? Or are you just like old lady that they have on drugs just to keep sane? Are you senile?" type thing. And she, every single day, "Good morning, you know, excellent day. Have a great day," you know, but just like so inflated. It was ridiculous. And she goes, "Good morning." And I look right at her and I goes like, "What's so fucking good about it?"
My God.
And she just like, she's like, didn't have any idea how to react. She had like a little flower bow in her hair and a little denim skirt on and all this stuff. So,
and you're not the smallest guy in the world either, right? So they're going to see this and just right?
I apologize to her. She's the same greeter lady that is still at that store, and I go there all the time, and she knows me by name, and I apologize to her, and she always greets me when I come in. But yeah, there's been a couple like small lapses like that where, yeah, you get your buttons pushed enough. It can happen. And it's not partially because you're tired and stuff, but it's also partially because people, like, they're just complete, not her, because she didn't do anything wrong, but like the dude at the gym, like they're just complete and utter unawareness of how they sound and the fact that they're just completely, just like the friends that say, "Oh, you can have," like they try to guilt you. "Oh, you can have one drink or you can have one bite." It's like, no, you don't understand any of this, do you? To even the slightest degree. And then family members are terrible at that.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh Lord, yes. Yeah.
They make you feel like, "Oh, my food's not good enough for you then." I said, "No, that literally has nothing to do with that at all." You know?
Crazy. It's like when I was personal training at the gym, like, holy crap, I was there forever. And if you like, and I'm sure, like you said, the people were kind of laughing at you when you were kind of berating the gentleman there that was heavier, but like, if you're there all the time and all of that, but like I was always an employee of myself. I was never an employee of the gym, but in a wild way, you're kind of a representative of the gym still, like, because I was having clients out there, whatever. And I remember either snapping on a couple people or whatever, and just, they're like, "Whoa, Marty's gotta be 4 weeks out," something like that. And just, because you, like you said, you never really act like this, right? So, and it's not that you get a free pass, but like, let's say it's that one person that just signed up at the gym and they've never met you, and then they see this dude that works for the gym or whatever, or just sees him snap, and before you know it, you're feeding into the stereotype of the angry bodybuilder or whatever. And it's so embarrassing right? Oh my God. Like every time I've definitely apologized to the person either pretty quick or the next day or something like that because they didn't deserve it. They caught you, like you said. It was just one of those days where I call it the shit sandwich. Stuff was just stacking up, and then they were the ones that fed you that first bite of that shit sandwich that was just been creating all day. And they don't deserve it, like you said. And even with the family, whatever, but those are the ones that they should almost expect it to eventually in a certain point. But and I've had people either we'll say clown their friends or clown their people during prep because they know that it's coming, right? They know that the food is running lower. They know that the sleep is not probably the best and that they're going to be a little bit more impatient. And so that they'll almost try to get the rise out of them, but you do get more prepared for it over time. You really do. And like you said, which was great, is that if you know that you're going to be a grump all the time during prep, then don't prep or pick a better time to prep. Pick it when it's not a busy season for work or something like this, right? Those are the people that shouldn't be really doing it. It's like I think it's either you or me that's like had the quote is that it's not a free pass to be an asshole during prep, right?
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, you don't get that. You shouldn't get that pass at all. It's like I said, it's always a voluntary thing. And it's not like anyone's making their living on it. So, stupid. Yeah, that's obviously a different topic, but there are definitely some funny things that come out of it. Just the generally being in like a daze at points where you just don't know what's going on, what time it is. I got one time I thought I was going to get pulled over because I had this cop riding my butt down the road that comes to my house. It's just like literally cornfields on one side and railroad tracks on the other, and it feels very long. It's a completely boring road. I zoned out and I was doing like 30 miles an hour under the speed limit. And
oh man, yep.
Cop starts flashing his lights at me. I'm like, what the fuck? I know I'm not speeding. I look up. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going like 25 miles per hour in a 55 mile an hour zone, and he's probably about to pull me over and drug test me or give me a sobriety test or something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's hilarious. It's like, oh, oops, but man,
yeah, no,
that's. I'll have to. I have a bunch of people prepping right now, and I tell you what, it's always like all the stories aside, like the funny stuff aside, I do like, you talked about the guy having people drive him around and like that stuff. We talk about motivation is fleeting and yada, 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 but that stuff to me is motivating when I see it and my clients talk about what they're doing. I love that. I love seeing that. And it makes me proud that I'm able to be their coach and that they are able to do what they love regardless of obstacles. And because we are very fortunate. These are all this shit's first world problems.
Oh, you know for sure. I mean?
Like,
yeah.
It's such silly stuff. Like we literally have the opportunity to make ourselves feel like crap to get on stage in a banana hammock.
Oh, it's a privilege, right? Like it is. Like how I love that. Like the first world problems thing. I love seeing those memes or whatever, or even Facebook statuses. It's like, yeah, like forgot whatever. Like my third shaker cup here. It's like, oh, woe is me, and just you gotta be able to not only laugh at it, but laugh in the right way with your clients at this. It's like even the girl going back to the whole Skittles with her kids story. Like I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing because this happened. Now I've got another story that I can share, right? Because it is, you have to have that ability, just period. Like this is a life thing, is that you have to have that ability to laugh at yourself because if not, you're not going to make it out. Like the whole taking it way too serious thing. Like, sure, it can be, if you're doing this daily or we'll say every second day, yeah, it's going to be problematic, but no, you have to take that in stride. Just like you losing it at that person, like that's not you, but you right. You gotta brush that stuff off, or you will not only not make it out of prep, but you won't make it out of life alive. Like you said, the motivation is fleeting and stuff like that, but it's knowing that too, that you're not alone with the stupid shit that you could have done. So you gotta eventually look at it in a humorous light.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure there's a million other stories that I've probably forgotten about, but those are some that definitely stick out to me.
No, I think that's good. That's all I've got today too. We're closing in on the hour. I think that's perfect. I love those. That should be enough to that people can take away from this and go, okay, I'm not as crazy as this. Like someone has chugged the entire Walden's Farm bottle. Someone has had their entire daily water amount come from Diet Pop, and we're not recommending this stuff, of course not. But
right,
like this is not your free passing. Oh well. Austin's broke his nose, so that's cool if I do. Or Marty's woken up and had friggin' 2 liters of Diet Pop during the middle of the night, so I guess I can too. Like, no, we're just saying that this stuff can potentially happen, and that, yeah, so I definitely want people to either comment on this one or whatever and share your ridiculous prep stories, because this stuff is what, like, makes it so much better, makes it tick, or makes, the community be funnier or have it more together. So yeah, I really like this. This was a lot of fun. So yeah, from Austin and Marty here at the Mind Body Broadcast, I hope you guys feel a little bit more normal about your preps, and we'll catch you next time.